Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome, educators, innovators, and visionaries. Welcome to the Education 2.0 Conference. My name is Angela, and I am thrilled to be your host as we embark on this exciting journey to reimagine education together. Today marks the beginning of 3 days filled with transformative ideas and meaningful conversations. We're here to explore how education can evolve to meet the challenges of a rapidly changing world. Whether you're a classroom teacher, an education startup founder, or a policymaker, there's something here for you. Before we begin, I want to remind you to stay connected throughout the day. Share your insights and favorite moments with the hashtag Education2Conf. So that is EDUCATION, the number 2, and CONF, Education2Conf. Let's inspire not just this room, but the world. So let's dive in and let's make this a day to remember. Our first session sets the stage for one of the most exciting areas of educational innovation: immersive learning technologies. Think virtual reality taking students on a journey through an ancient civilization, or AI adapting lessons to fit every learner's pace. In this panel entitled Innovative Approaches Navigating the Future of Education with Immersive Learning Technologies, our experts will unpack how these tools are reshaping classrooms, making learning more engaging and accessible for all. From education, interactive simulations will explore how these innovations can bridge the gaps in traditional teaching methods. So first of all, please put your hands together for our moderator for this discussion. So I'd like to welcome up Elena Biriani, co-founder and CPO of Leah Growing People. Come on up, Elena. And for all of our panelists to join her up here on the stage, we're going to welcome up Dr. Rahmad Dwi Putrano, chairman of Iblam School of Law. Frank Sahlin, Chief Visionary Officer at Third Level Consulting Group. And Leonid Posadskov, he can say his name when he comes up here, CEO of Luminary Inc. Come on up and please take your microphones, and the stage is yours.
I also had to practice Leonid's name for a while, so no worries. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us and coming quite on time. We are very happy to see the room is quite full. We are following, I hope we have the title showcased here. So navigating the futures of education with immersive learning technology. We aim really to explore today what are the cutting edge technology available, most of all available in our groups, to really understand how we can bridge the gap that at the moment we are finding in education employability. Our discussion, we follow innovative way, an innovative process that we can adopt to facilitate this transition for the education to the global work and the global work environment our students will have to go to. So my name is, as been said, Elena Buriani. I'm Italian. I'm the co-founder and the CEO of Leah Growing People. I'm a certified professional coach and I'm chartered member CIPD. So I'm an HR specialist, advocated in enhancing leadership and team efficiency from the very beginning. We have created a Leah tools that it's called Leah Insight that diagnose actually the gap between how the people perceive themselves versus how they are perceived by others. And then we coach the people to fill that gap and also through traditional coaching technique, but also through explorative and experiential learning. We invite our client here in the UAE. I'm based here for the past 9 years. So if you want to know something about Dubai, I'm the person to reach out to. And we also bring them in an immersive experience in a sailing boat, having ACUS coaching with horses, having experience in the desert, having sound and movement healing session around the country. I was really impressed by the fact that when we started talking, we realized we had in common one thing, which is exactly fitting and filling up this gap that we find in education, in the traditional education, while the world, most of all now with this advanced technology, is having a very, very fast pace. So I'm very honored to introduce today with me my fellow colleague, all of you. So I have Frank Selling. I don't know if you want to introduce a little bit yourself. You will definitely do better than me.
Sure. Hi, everybody. It's wonderful to be here. My wife is here with me as well. We're from Puerto Rico in the Caribbean. Before that, from Boise, Idaho. We do three main things. We work globally with children's activity center providers, sports, arts, education, entertainment, for-profit centers all over the globe. For the not-for-profit, we do the International Association of Child Development Programs, which brings together the top educators in the sports and arts and education, the top suppliers, the top associations, and the top investor groups. And then the third thing that we are working on at this point is a child activity center metasphere, or a metaverse as well, from the technology standpoint.
Thank you, Frank. And then I would love also Rahmat Putranto, Dwi Putranto, to introduce himself.
Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity. My name is Rahmat from Jakarta, Indonesia. We are from IBLAM Education Group. We have university specializing on law. Also, we have preschool and kindergarten, and some of education institution, non-formal and formal institution. We are coming here actually so happy, so excited, because we are open up for new partnership to the global community. Also, we are inviting to people who interested in developing education sector in Indonesia. We are ready to be your partner. For example, I was talking with Mr. Frank. We talked about the opportunity regarding the child activities, yeah. And in other hand, we also have a basketball academy for kids. We are one of the biggest in Indonesia. We have almost 4,000 students across to 24 branches. So please welcome. Thank you for the opportunity once again. Thank you so much.
And the last one but not least, Leonid Pozatskov, actually, from Russia and Japan.
Yeah, my name is Leonid. I'm originally from Russia, but I'm currently based in Japan. So I'm a CEO of Luminary Kabushiki Gaisha. Luminary Kabushiki Gaisha is a security-first consultancy bureau. We mainly specialize on providing our clients with a consultancy on implementing reliable innovation with security in mind. But recently we also working on another product, which is a seminary, which is our security education product. We are using gamification and innovative technologies to make education both practical and fun. Our team consists of security specialists and media experts who provide not only security expertise, but also an entertaining component to our product. Okay, thank you.
So as you can see, we go from Puerto Rico to Japan. It's a very diverse set of panels, but we all have in common the passion for technology. Before we go into sharing with you more about our perspective on this topic, I really would love each and any of you to maybe take a few seconds to really reflect on three main aspects, because we're all educators and we are all playing an important role in this industry. I would love you to think, first of all, what is that you see, the role of immersive technology taking a good role in the actual educational dynamics. So what do you think about it, and how is this already affecting your current, scenario? Second of all, how do you imagine immersive technology that could change the way we could prepare our students for tomorrow? Have you thought about it? I would really love you to spend a few seconds to think about it. And in addition, as our responsibility and accountability are also important as educator and innovator, is also what responsibility do you have to facilitate this process, because this process needs to happen. If not, our student, they will be outdated and not suitable for the workplace. So we would love to share with you our vision on that. And hopefully by the end, we will be able also to interact and get some of your questions and some reflection on this topic. My first question is for Frank, and I would love to hear from you how the emotional, mental, physical, and social aspects of that we see in students can be integrated in your program. And which immersive technology do you employ to support this holistic developmental process in the students?
Well, that's a small question, easily answered in 1 or 2 words, no problem. Seriously, I'd like to set a little caveat before we start here, because when we start talking about virtual reality and augmented reality and mixed reality, you get into altered reality. And so what is just reality? And the reason I'm mentioning this is because if we have a hard time sorting that out, what are children going through? And our whole for-profit and not-for-profit institutes are all set up to deliver the mental, physical, emotional, and social tools that these children are going to need in this world. They need them now. And so before we get into these immersive technologies and all of that, which is all fantastic, it's great, but I'd like just us to look at a cautionary tale, because a child at age 5 or 6 or 7 is not a mature adult like we are. And they have so much coming at them so fast that if we don't slow things down and give them the tools they need to truly absorb the tools and the time, we're going to be in trouble moving forward. So I just want to give that as a caveat, or as a lead-in. Having said that, some of the immersive tools are fantastic. How many of you have been to or know of the Sphere in Las Vegas? They're going to build one in here in Dubai as well. You're aware of what I'm talking about? An entire room is a 360-degree immersive tool. The floors, the walls, the ceilings, the music, the sound, the vibrations, everything. Imagine that. Imagine a preschool gymnastics class, and it's a jungle theme, and you've got jungles on the walls, you've got it on the ceilings, you've got it on the floors, you have characters coming through, interacting with you in an AI way, and they've got friends there that are in that as well. It smells like a jungle, it looks like a jungle, feels like a jungle. It's pretty cool. That way it is actually pulling together all their senses, and their mental, their physical, their emotional, and their social. So those are great tools. Now, I don't think we can all afford an $8 billion sphere in our individual facilities, but the technology is coming very, very quickly. I know that we're just about to visit the Consumer Electronics and Technology Show in Las Vegas. Maybe some of you have been there before, the largest technology show in the world. And it's phenomenal what the bigger companies, Samsung, Toshiba, Sony, etc., are putting together in really cost-effective ways. And that's not only in the gym. Gymnastics was my root sport, but it's not in the gym or just in swimming or dance or music or anything else. It's in the educational classroom as well. And I believe we have to blend those 4 elements of mental, physical, social, emotional, blending them so that children can absorb a little bit more. Those
Extremely important. And another aspect that's extremely important is this journey is definitely security. Yeah, now there's a lot of unsecurity when we go towards approaching those new technology. And this is where Leonid can really help. And I would love to ask you how we can integrate security education into the modern education in order that students are more protected. And which role does gamification play in this process of also protecting our students in this learning environment?
Yeah, thank you, Elena. Yep, basically, cybersecurity is very important. I can't overstate that. So today, in the modern world, there's a lot of exposure to modern technologies. We have very great innovation in AI, in immersive technologies. But with that, there also come caveats of like unsafe usage of AI. Your data privacy can be at stake. The information you use to communicate with AI systems. So we also have to maintain balance between innovation and security. The system should be reliable. I think there's a big gap is that in traditional education, we rarely focus on building skills in cybersecurity, special practical ones. Yes, of course, we also have always have theoretical knowledge. You probably at work every month, you're probably going to feel like some sort of like compliance report or security test. But what is this security test? It's just like a PDF or like a document. Just say you follow the basic rules. It's not interactive, it's not innovative, it's pretty boring. You feel it's like a chore. So that's why what we are doing with seminary and what should be done with education in the future is that introduction of more gamified experiences, interactive experiences, media experiences. We don't only need to focus on the theoretical skills, but we need practical skills. We need to develop simulators that emerge people in the universe, in the environment. We need to make sure they feel like emotional connection to this world. And through the emotional connection and through practical skills training, they can memorize the skills better, a lot better than this traditional education. So that should be a big focus. We should make gamified simulators, we should make media simulators, which should involve not only security experts, but also the media experts, the producers, the game designers, and together build a product that's going to be both practical and fun.
Well, thank you, Leonid. And I haven't thought about it. I haven't thought about the aspect that leadership is not taught in school, and it's one of the most important skills that students might have. Security is a very important subject all students should get, and is not taught in school too much. And on the other side is also law and other aspects that Bahat is bringing that is not taught as much in school. But it's still so important because as soon as you go out, you will find contract everywhere. You will find disclosure notes everywhere, legal closure everywhere. But those three subjects are not taught in school properly. So that's why we want to introduce the importance of, first of all, teaching them, and second of all, maybe also leveraging on technologies to teach and let them seem more engaging as subjects. So with Ramat, how can you blend then law and technology to create a more innovative and impactful learning experience for your students?
Thank you so much, Elena. Maybe we can give applause for the moderator today. Give applause, please. Because she really able to blend the topics for this morning's talk. Thank you so much. And I know maybe some of you are thinking why there is a lawyer speaking in the education conference, right? Yeah, I'm a lawyer that crossing to the education world now because we also have elementary and preschool, and that's why our law school has injected law awareness, legal awareness to our students since nursery level, since the kindergarten level. Even I teach a law to my own kids. I have 3 kids now. I teach them law. We have a contractual basis to do whatever we want. Like for example, if you want to buy toy, you have to fulfill your obligation, this and that. And that is a law. Even there is a saying that in this world only 2 things is certain. One is death and the second one is taxes. There are 2 things only certain in this world. And tax is part of the law itself. And how we can innovate how we learn the law for our student is very important. That's why we encourage our student to use artificial intelligence, to use augmented reality, to use the mixed reality technology. For what? So they can understand the situation in a real life situation better, rather than they only listen to a lecture in a one-way discussion. So what we're gonna do, we develop an AI solution, we develop the augmented reality solution for them to feel the atmosphere of how the courtroom gives you a pressure in the courtroom, or how you be a future lawyer, because we believe to create a future lawyer, you cannot teach them an old school lawyer. So you have to find a new methods in teaching them law, of course, in a most fun way. Now our students mostly are Gen Z, and a Gen Z are demanding a new way of learning methods. They do not like only one-way situation. They are more demanding on a student-centered approach and a technology approach. And now, as a law school, we are still debating whether or not AI is approved to be used for academic purposes. And as my understanding, and we have discussed within the law professor in Indonesia, and also we joined the International Association of Law School. We've been conducted a conference back in San Francisco. We decided that AI shall be taught in the law school officially. And we encourage them to use an AI for academic purposes. But how we manage the critical thinking then? If the students are using AI, AI will do 80% or 90% of our lawyer's job. What is the lawyer's job actually? Only two lawyers' job. One is writing, second is speaking. That's right. That's what the consultant do. That's what the lawyers do. We give advice by speaking, and we give advice through the writing, through the legal memo. How if we are lazy enough to write our legal memo? Then we ask the ChatGPT LLM PhD. Then we can ask the Gemini. And then how we manage the critical thinking then? That's why we have to find a new way. We have to treat the AI like a calculator. So it's just a tool, not a magic tool that can solve all the legal problems or the legal solution you need. But is the professor nowadays understand the situation? Not yet. That's why we have to find a way, and that's why IBLAM is trying to make a new innovation on that. We encourage them, we give the regulation, we teach them how to blend the law and technology in our learning methodology. Thank you. That's all for the first speaking. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramit. I really love this perspective. And in addition to this, I also want to add that students, young students, as another thing on top of critical thinking, which is creative thinking. So if you start really exposing to a very young age those tools to students, they might be able to come up with something we cannot even think about. Because our brain got so much critical that sometimes we also forget about creativity. And you know, it's not about collecting a lot of data, but it's also being able to interpret those data with creativity and with a disruptive way of thinking, outside the box thinking, which kids are amazingly good at. So we don't want to lose this opportunity of exposing them to new technology while being safe, that for sure, but even learning with the children. Because noticing how they will use and approach those tools, it will be a great learning for us that we are outdated. You know, we are not able to approach technology the same way they are. So it will be learning simultaneously together with them. And this is a beautiful aspect of, I think, of all educators. I would love to ask you, and this is open to everybody, whoever wants to answer, and we can build an answer together. As a result of applying these new approaches, either in leadership, in my case, in emotional, social, body and mind, in the legal aspects, in the security aspects, what do you imagine it will be different in the future? compared to the current situation where we are today?
Yes, let me start this topic. So basically, as you see right now, the technology is progressing and developing exponentially. So, and exponential development of technologies brings exponential development of threats as well. So, I think in the future of education, we definitely have to make a bigger focus on security and basically building up our education program so it covers all the aspects and complies with all the requirements. We're definitely going to focus more on data privacy, especially it's going to be a lot of topics on compliance, where the law comes in a lot. And yeah, and in all of this, we still have to keep in mind that these products, these services, these programs has to be cost appropriate. Have to keep in mind the price. Have to keep in mind that we develop an innovative approach while still accessible to both B2C sector and B2B sector. Yeah, I think that's one of the main aspects if you're talking like more ground up things.
So from what you're saying, are hearing, we envision a future that will be more safe and more cost effective in relationship to technology somehow.
Yes, but we have to put an effort to make it.
To make it happen, yeah. And stress, it's really a big, I mostly work with leaders and executive. But I also have been working for 22 years with small kids. And I bring in this perspective that I always see the 2 or 3 years old inside of them. That it's still scared, that it still feel uncertain. And stress, it's an overall problem right now into leaders. But I'm also noticing that they are bringing experience as parents of having kids that are already very stressful. And kids are not equipped with those leadership tools in order to manage stress, and with holistic tools in order to manage stress properly. So I'm asking the same questions to you. How do you envision the future if we start adopting now a more holistic approach, leveraging on technology? The future of those students, how will be this different of those leaders? How will this be different from the leader of today?
Yeah, it depends who we're talking about. Are we talking about children? Are we talking about adolescents? Are we talking about people new in the workplace? Are we talking about experienced workers in the workplace? Are we talking about leaders and owners? Are we talking about educators in the school system? And the truth is, we're talking about all of us, because everybody is lifelong learning, right? That's one of the hallmarks today. That's part of the fun part of being alive and learning. But I think if we put this into a concept, and I know that the last panel tomorrow on student-led learning, we'll get into this pretty deeply, I think. But just as an example, AI can do some wonderful things if the information is very specific, if the sources are verified, if it's secure, etc. And I'm picturing something like, this is why we're trying to build this with a whole metasphere for the Child Activity Center industry, is that the AI interfaces with the person. Let's just say it's a person entering the workforce, and they're entering education or sports or arts. And the AI can ask them, what is it you'd like to do? I'd like to be a gymnastics coach, and I'd like to specialize in special abilities gymnastics. And I'd like to eventually manage my own facility. The AI should be able to direct them toward gymnastics instructor courses, special abilities courses, business management courses, and be able to interface with them on an individual level all the way through their career, so that their whole journey is self-directed as well. And I think being able to prepare children at a young age, when some of you are involved with that as well at the elementary and preschool ages, so that they're able to take on and have the confidence to take on that journey. And the only way they're going to do that is by giving them the mental, physical, emotional, and social, all those different tools. That's the only way.
Yeah, I really like what you're saying it's good to know what we want to do, but it's not always that easy, and we face it also ourselves in a learning path. to overcome all the setbacks, and to always have the stamina and the willingness to continue. That's where resilience becomes a very important topic to boost in all our kids. Yeah, do you want to add something on this question? Go for it. I was ready to ask another question.
Okay,
please
okay.
go ahead.
Maybe in a short answer, what will be different for the students of the future if we integrate with the technology for our student? I believe that first we can increase or we can open the access to justice. We in Indonesia, only under 10% of Indonesian people who can access to the university level. And under 3% of them that can access to the PhD level. What it means, we have the population almost 300 million. And only less than 10% is very educated enough to understand how the world works. So we believe only with the technology, we can increase the access, the easiest way for the people of Indonesia to gain knowledge, either through the formal way or the non-formal way. Now in Indonesia, we only have one state open university, and the student is almost 1 million people. The student is almost 1 million people. The open university is owned by the government. Is the private can open it up? Yes, of course. But you have to get through some licensing stuff. And what we want to do, we want to create a new access so the Indonesian people can gain the knowledge without hassle. But how the internet works in Indonesia now is getting better. But some of the rural area now is been settled with the Starlink, or I guess Starlink from the Elon Musk that doesn't need the underneath cable. I don't know what it's called. So it's easier for us now to get the internet. And through that internet, we can stream the knowledge across Indonesia. So that's why we believe only with the technology, we can increase the quality of life of our people, especially in my country. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your experience from an Indonesian perspective. But I think also, accessibility is
Not
a
only
big
in
topic.
Indonesia, yes.
And it's not only in Indonesia. We also have, for example, the huge topic of neurodivergent children or children with disability, how they do access to technology and how technology can help them, for example. So this is my questions. How can immersive technology help make education more accessible and equal for everyone? Doesn't matter with the neurotype they are. What do you think about that?
I can start again. Yeah. Basically, once again, I'm mainly specialized in security, but I think the main problem is people still treat security as something like a set of rules, but to be frank, it's like a base for everything here, for every technology. And we need to make sure that people are not only aware of the dangers of the world, but are actually actively understanding how to use their skills and training those skills. So I think, like, especially in Japan, where the luminary is based, the big problem is like Japanese universities, Japanese schools are mainly focusing on theoretical knowledge. And there is a good theoretical base, but there is like little practical experience. And the students that come out of the universities and join the workforce, they have to spend up to 2 years in OJT, on-job training sometimes. Basically, employer gets a student that's unable to do his main job for 2 years, and the student is not progressing, not improving in any way during these 2 years, if they learn basic skills. So what we have to do and what we need to do is that we need to make sure that we implement brief, practical and concise programs that also like entertaining and memorable. So all of the students, no matter the background, technical background, non-technical background, administrative, even like any line of work, any path, they should all have basic understanding, and they should practice the skills that can be used not only at work but in real life. And this access should be for everyone.
I think the accessibility is really a critical topic for us. I think the two solutions perhaps. One is that more not-for-profit institutes that are able to raise funds to make it available, not only internet available, but all of the AI tools available as well. That can come through the for-profit sector, or it can come through the not-for-profit sector. In terms of children with learning disabilities, et cetera, we all know that autism, ADD, ADHD, et cetera, is on the rise and moving very, very quickly. And I think that we need to be able to use AI to try to calm that down a little bit. Those children, especially the ADD, ADHD, autism, there are factors that are stimulating that. I don't know whether it's the environment, whether it's the air, whether it's the food, whether it's all of the technology coming at them too fast. All of those things are what's causing that rise in those factors. We need something to be able to calm them down. Most of you probably in this room, as educators or educator entrepreneurs, probably have some form of ADD or ADHD. I know I do. I'll be the first to admit it. But we need to reframe all of that. And the accessibility to have those children and those people have access is really important. Reframing ADD or ADHD is really critical. Most entrepreneurs have it, but we've kind of reframed that. Do you know what ADHD actually stands for? You know what it is, right? We're going to reframe it, though. It's going to be attention, desire, high drive. That's what it's going to be. Because the difference is, people who know that, they're all like, yeah, okay. Actually, I made that up a couple of years ago. But the point is that there's so much coming at these children and staff people that you have and leaders and educators. There's so much coming at us so fast, it's very difficult to pull it all together. It needs to slow down a little bit and allow people to pull those pieces together to put something concrete into place for their own career, for their own family, for their own businesses to move forward.
I am the mother of a neurodiverse child, and I learned my disability through learning his disability. I realized, I also have some neurodiversity, proud of. But I've also noticed, being an educator, as Frank says, that they are really increasing. And my question is, that I ask myself, isn't it maybe because now the input are so many and the culture is so fast-paced that you need to be neurodiverse in order to keep up with this huge amount of input that you constantly receive? How a person who is not fast in skipping from one input to the other, managing another, can keep up, So I think if we go back to Darwin, is an evolution that is happening, because input are coming to us to such a high pace that you need to be more agile and more flexible and more adaptable in your brain in order to keep up with all those stimuli. And when it comes to access, I would love to add that. For me, it was beautiful to notice how allowing kids to embrace their unique leadership styles and their approach to learning, approach to processes, approach to mission, vision, goal setting, desire. It's extremely important when you find a tailored, customized way of each and every person. And this needs to start from childhood. When you help children to recognize what is your style, what is your learning ability. Are you kinesthetic? If you are, then maybe, studying on the book is not enough. Then maybe you need that immersive experience. Are you, autistic, and so you love a topic so much, or with ADHD, you get obsessed with one topic and you cannot focus on anything else? Amazing, let it become your major subjects, become a subject expert in that. Why should we should not leverage on their unique strength, on their unique talent, on their unique leadership styles? Make it become a strength. I had to quit my own country because I couldn't find any school who was including my own son. That's why we moved in Dubai 9 years ago, for him to find a school that was able to include him. And now he's the best performer. And everybody loves him, and the teacher says, okay, when Gabri is very happy, everybody's happy. When Gabri is very sad, all the class is sad. So he has amazing leadership skills, but that's why both me and my husband, we became leadership coach. We had to learn it to be able to help our son to succeed in life. And now we are helping other people. And customization is extremely, extremely key. And we need, as educator, not to put students in a bucket. This is what students should do. No, this is what Gabriele should do. This is what Frank should do. This is what Hamlet should do. This is what Leonid should do. And it needs to be as much customized as possible. It's all beautiful what we have said, but I would love to ask the last questions, because on a dream scenario, everything sounds amazing, but there's still a lot of blockages that are impeding us as educator to implement all those beautiful, scenario we have depicted. So in your experience, what are the most significant barriers that we are facing to integrate these new approaches?
So let me start with the answer. The most significant barrier now is the laziness now. Yes, laziness. Laziness somehow can be a trigger to create an innovation. I know in Indonesia there is an application that does everything, like Grab for everything. We call it Gojek. And that Gojek application was coming from the laziness, actually. So because the founder was so lazy enough to go outside from the room to buy a food, so they create an application to make somebody to buy that food for him. There is the application that coming from a laziness. At first, it was a really great narrative. But now, we are becoming a lazy person. It was started with the lazy to buy a food. It was started by a laziness to create our own task, to finish our own assignment. Now we have to assign anybody other than us to do the job. Now, we even lazier to ask somebody. We ask a robot to do that. So it's all started with the laziness. It started with the innovation because of the laziness, but the laziness itself that creates us as the lazy generation. And we don't want that. Who wants to be the lazy generation now? Nobody wants that. But it's getting that way. Even there is an update research saying that now the human memory or human memory is like a goldfish. We cannot pay attention more than 15 seconds. Because of what? Because we are lazy to watch the content. The first day of YouTube posting the content, we can watch the content at YouTube until 1 hour, 30 minutes. Now, because of TikTok, we can only watch content only for 15 seconds. And now, under 15 seconds, if we see the content is not interesting enough, we swipe it. Man, how lazy you are. Just to watch the 15 seconds content, you are so tired. And now that is, I think, one of our greatest challenge. So no matter what the technology will come to our door, if we cannot fight our laziness, we cannot fight our mind to be a normal person again, back in the 80s, back in the 90s, I mean, I don't know whether we can survive or not as a generation. I don't know. So I really appreciate the generation from Mr. Frank, I think, and I think Mr. Frank, because back in the 80s, back in the 90s, people are so tough. Nowadays, they have called strawberry generation, where it looks good from the outside, but when you can touch them, it's broken. It's easy to be broken. It's a strawberry parent, strawberry generation. And we don't want that. I think that's one of the challenge. We tend to find an easier pathways to educate our children by giving them what they want. And we easier to use any that makes us comfort. And we are so reluctant to use a harder pathway. Maybe that's all. Thank you, sorry.
Frank, what do you think about it?
I'm going to pick up on your word because you went from
I'm from the 80s also. So
Oh, I'm not going to tell you where I'm from. That's I'm from the 50s, all right? So I'm going to pick up on that, though. His laziness into the challenge word you mentioned, I'm going to pick up on that. What we need to be able to do is to reinstate inspiring journeys. And inspiring journeys mean all 8 factors. If you use an infinity loop symbol, for example, there's at least 8 areas of human development. A person's mental development, their emotional, their physical, their social, their spiritual, their leadership for social change, their creativity, their personal financial life, and their career. All of those things, we need to be able to inspire them to take the journey and have it be a self-directed journey. AI and technology can definitely help that. I mean, I look at your children as well. You're perfect for this. Your 3 children are young ages. The only one I've seen have a contract with his children under age 2, but that's okay. You know, it's all right. But I think that the contract we want with the future is to set inspiring journeys up again, setting the success pathways up so that they are inspired to do, because everybody has a brain and a body and a heart and a spirit. I don't care what generation you are from. I don't care if you're from X, Y, Z, millennials, or the lazy generation. I don't care. We're all the same. It's all human. And AI we can use, and the virtual realities we can use to do that, but we need to challenge. We definitely need to challenge.
I would also like to add a little bit on this. I think like very important as well is what I call is sort of like insecurities, like which we're talking about security when like the security incident happened. First reaction is defense. You try to hide it. You try to like cover the knowledge, like cover the consequences, which is good. Of course, you have to like take care of the consequences, but you don't have to hide it. It's already happened. The damage is already done. Make an example out of it. It's a mistake. Learn from this mistake. It's very important for companies, like when focusing on security, to make sure that any experience is a valuable experience. You take a lesson from it. And when we're talking about education, and I'm originally from a consulting background, consulting is sort of also an education in its way, because what we do is we actually teach our clients how to use something. We give them advice. We give them the best way to build a strategy for the company. And it's the same way if we're talking about interactive education, we also may need to make sure to teach the clients, the business, that it will also benefit them as well. Building skills, building these programs. For example, in Japan, you don't have to spend 2 years training a person. When you have like a brief and concise practical simulators that can train him in like 2 weeks, you get a valuable member of your team already in like this short term. And it's also like important to make sure that gamification is not viewed as childish. It's not viewed as like it's just for fun, because it's an approach we see in Emirates, in Qatar. There's a lot of people in the government, younger people, who actually embrace the culture, the media, the production values of the entertainment. And they try to build on this experience. And that's what we need to do in the training as well. We don't need to think it's childish. We need to think it's like a way to convey the emotional meaning behind the skills, to enhance the memorability of the skills, the practice. I think that's very important too, also.
Thank you. So I would love to summarize. I think that time is one of, the thing that is playing a big role here. The time we need to invest in this process of learning, in continuous learning, and definitely immersive experience can drastically reduce the time we do invest in that and make it more profitable as possible. So the best way of invest our time. and also, you know, to go through our insecurity and go through our laziness, and just having the willingness of, you know, becoming more agile in learning. Learning agility now is a huge, huge topic. We need to learn fast. Why not using the best tools available out there to make this learning experience the most efficient as possible? We have a few minutes left, and we would love to ask you if you have any questions or any reflection you would love to share. There's a microphone there you can use. Yeah. Each and any of you can cue. Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much for your insightful presentations and conversations. I have a question for Dr. Rama and also Leonard. How do you approach differently the people living in cities, I mean the children living in cities, and between the ones in cities and the ones in countryside? If there is some difference, then I'd like to know.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll remember. Will you remember? Because I have a goldfish memory, so.
I'll actually remember as well. Let's collect the question and the answer. But I'll keep it in mind.
Okay, we collect the questions. What's your questions then?
Good morning, everybody.
Good
I'm
morning.
Dr. Majdal Sulumi, an associate professor in computer science at Shagra University in Saudi Arabia. Some of my research is about AI and cybersecurity like that. Let me go back 20 years ago. When students face a problem, they think deeply how to solve it and do a lot of things, ask people to figure out how to solve this problem. Right now, when a student faces a problem, she or he just send it to ChatGPT. So it doesn't take like 1 minute or less than that. So what do you think? Is it going to be affect our mind, or brain, or capability, or ability? I'm sure, I'm positive it's going to do. But what do you think about that? Thank you.
Is there any other questions? I saw some other. Yeah, can you ask your questions to the microphone? Yes, please. 3 maximum. Our mind can hold the 3 maximum. Yeah, this is the last questions we are taking, and you are free to approach us even later during the break at any time, of course.
Thank you so much. I'm Gabriel Vargas from Get Abstract from Switzerland. The last month, I joined different meetings here in Dubai, and really remind me, there's a really concern because we are taking into consideration currently the education system that all we are the same. But what happened, or what you're doing regarding topics from dyslexia, the young people, ADHD or autism. You mentioned regarding we need to promote the immersive education, but what about of those I cannot say industries because it's particularly the education with them, but what we are doing or what we are going to do regarding of those topics, because the 60% of population we are suffering, or we could suffering about dyslexia, ADHD, or autism. The learning process is totally different. What we're doing about that? Thank you.
Maybe I can take these questions first. So I've been noticing from my personal experience that certain neurodiverse children, they learn faster and easier through immersive tools rather than on book. Most of all, if you have dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, without the support of a tool, you won't be able to learn, actually. Or it will take triple time, and you will feel that even the gap between you and your classmate is even broader. So I actually realized, and this is going back to your questions, during COVID that my son was alone homeschooling. He was learning much more than in classroom setting. Yeah, because he had free access to the type of resources he wanted to access to. And it was quite critical in approaching those tools autonomously. But what was he lacking was the social interaction. Yeah, so it was so much immersed into the technology that it was almost lazy in going and check out, asking friends, how would you do that? Why don't we do the homework together? Because for him it was so much easier to go with the tool. It was really his way of learning. It was embracing what he was needed back then. So as educator, and I'm calling myself, even if I was a mom, an educator back then, I needed to boost it triple time the social interaction for him and make him become more proactive in making those social interaction happening. If not, he would have turned into an isolated child. And this is the reason why I'm sending my son to school, not for learning. My son doesn't need a teacher to learn. I'm sending my son to school just to have social interaction. Yeah? He's very good in learning what he wants to learn. He wants to become a doctor. He's educating himself on YouTube. Nobody's teaching how to do a surgery in year 10, right? But this is why I'm pushing as an educator. And this is our responsibility, I think. We need to make them knowledgeable about technologies in all the possible area, law, security, social, emotional. Now we also have coaches that coach on AI. But as educator, we need to keep them learning about emotional connection, learning about social interaction, because when machine will take over, the only thing that will make us different is emotion and relationship and love, unconditional love. And there's no machine that can teach this. Yeah, I hope I've answered both of your questions. Yeah.
I think we're answering these in reverse a little bit, and your question will be answered by these two experts, I think. But just a quick comment on your question in particular. I think that we as leaders, educators, need to help just guide people as to when they use AI and they get the automatic answers, those answers are there. Should they use them? How should they use them? And where should they use them? And the truth is, it leads to another set of awareness, right? And so that next level of awareness, that next level of information, how do we guide them through that? I don't believe anybody has the answer to that question right this minute. I believe that we will in the next year or two, as AI becomes more prevalent everywhere, and it becomes more prevalent in education and use in homework and everything else, and careers. But our job as guides, as leader guides, is really, I think that's really the answer, and we just have to have a lot of discrimination about that. We have a critical role to play going forward.
I know our time is up, but I would love us to answer to your questions.
Yeah,
then we
I'll
go
just,
because they're looking at us.
Yeah, sorry, a quick comment on the AI one. So I think it's also a twofold issue. We not only need to teach people how to use AI, but how to protect themselves against AI. Because they need to recognize where the AI system is used, because I'm originally an AI specialist by profession. So basically we need to understand like where they use it and where it's used against them. So they can protect their data, they have to protect their privacy. And law comes a lot into this discussion. So there should be guidelines and there should be an education system to teach about this. So yeah, let's move into the question, the next question. Yeah, basically I think it's very important to make sure that business actually pays attention to this. Because yes, city population and country population are quite different in the mindset and the lifestyle. But actually in Japan, it's a very interesting thing is that in Japan we have the system that, for example, provides part of the taxes to local producers outside of Tokyo. So if you live in Tokyo, you can actually pay your taxes in different jurisdictions and get some products for that. This can be done with the education as well, with the cybersecurity, the skills Tokyo is lacking. There's a lot of businesses, they are lacking specialists. Why not invest some of the money from the corporate world into building the universities and skill sets in the country? There's a lot of people who don't have access to top universities in Tokyo, so why not build a education program in private colleges and like local communities in schools? They're not that premium schools, they're not high-level schools, but these are people who has talents that are not remains untapped at this point. So we have to make sure that business understands this. and that they can invest and get in turn resources they lack. Because there is a big lack of resources in cybersecurity and AI, especially in Japan. There's like rates of 5 positions open to one candidate, which is not enough to cover the workspace.
Okay, just addition one more answer. First, of course, we need to treat differently from the student coming from city and rural area, especially like in Indonesia, where the gap of quality of education is very different. So, of course, we need to treat them differently by having a caucus method, where the rural students, specifically, we give them like a training session more in depth, maybe before the 1 week or 3 days before the first day of college. And also for the second answer, for example, like in our law student, we assign them to SI, dual track SI assignment. So the first SI that they have to make with AI, and the second SI they have to make by themselves. And last one, they have to make a report on what is the difference between the AI product and our human product. That's our efforts to teach our student to understand what is the difference between the AI creation and the human creation, and what is the insight of the two SI when we compare. It means they understand if they use the human creation, they know how to put their souls into their writings. But AI doesn't have the soul and the emotion. So they understand about the
situation. If we finish with these questions, put your soul, AI doesn't have it. Thank you very much for being with us today. We wish you an amazing continuation.
Thank you so much for that informative and fascinating look into the future of education. Let's put our hands together one more time for those wonderful panelists and moderator. Fantastic. Okay, so next up we have a keynote presentation. Now we're just going to reset the stage quickly. So our keynote presentation is entitled Recovery is Global, Positively Impacting Addiction Through Education, Empowerment and Collaboration. So this talk will focus on how a united approach can revolutionize the landscape of addiction recovery. Our esteemed speaker will explore innovative strategies that combine education to increase awareness, empowerment to inspire action and collaboration across borders to strengthen recovery networks. Please join me in welcoming Nayetha Uren, CEO and founder of Recovery Coach Academy.
Good morning. How is everyone doing? I hope you are all as excited to be here as I am today. So, my name is Nayetha Uren, and I am, yes, the CEO of Recovery Coach Academy, but today I just want to spread some hope, some positivity, and share with you some of the things I have learned on my journey. When I found out about recovery coaching, I knew it was my calling. But I wasn't brave enough to take action initially. Oh. Am I on this one now? When I found recovery coaching, I was not brave enough to take any action. I knew it was the work I was meant to do. And then I'll tell you about one day, about 7 years ago, I was at a place called the Houston Council on Recovery in Houston, Texas. And it was about 7:30 in the morning, and I was on the rooftop garage, leaned against my car, iced coffee in hand, watching the sunset come up, and I just went, this is it. My business head and my people heart connected, and fireworks went off, and I knew I could make a difference. I knew it. I just didn't know how that would happen. And the reason that day is so significant to me is because 3 days before, I dropped my daughter off at a residential treatment center for addiction. She was beaten, she was broken, but we had a window of opportunity where we could get help for her. And I never wanted my daughter to live in shame and silence and be anonymous if she did not choose to be anonymous. So that started this passion to make a difference. Today, I want to hopefully educate you a little bit about my journey. I really hope to spark a lot of really good conversations. I hope you find some of the fireworks that I found that day. And I was going to say I want to create a few recovery allies in the room today, but I want to create a room full of global recovery allies here today so we can all make a difference. Because it takes all of us. Let me give you a little bit of information. So we have chosen to align at Recovery Coach Academy with the SAMHSA definition of recovery. So that's the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Administration in the US. And they have defined recovery as a process of change which individuals improve their health, their wellness, live a self-directed life, and strive to reach their full potential. That's a really formal definition. So what does that look like in practicality? So when we're helping people improve their health and wellness, it's more than the drugs, the alcohol, the gambling, the technology, whatever that may be. It is how do we help them then manage any health conditions they have. All of a sudden they might choose to find better nutrition, better fitness, better ways of living, holistic ways of living. So as recovery and recovery coaches, we can support them through that whole journey beyond the stopping. Living a self-directed life, setting goals, going for what we want to achieve in life. Often people think that people in recovery spend a lot of time every day in maybe a church basement, drinking really bad coffee, meeting. People in recovery can change the world. They are so much more than that. They can inspire, they can take their lived experience. I met with a gentleman recently and he wants to set up recovery roofing, where he trains people with a trade who are in recovery to set up their own businesses or have apprenticeships and make a difference. So often we believe in the people that we work with more than they believe in themselves initially. So we can be their cheerleaders, their motivators, their guides, their supporters to help all that come to life. And also people want to strive to reach their full potential in recovery, be part of a community, make a difference. That can be things as simple as registering to vote for the first time. They have an impact. They might get involved with local community groups. They may actually decide to advocate in the Houses of Parliament. Who knows? But when we support people to reach their full potential, they may end up standing on a stage at Health 2.0 or Education 2.0 talking to people like you. Oh, the little clicker work. So when we create allies and advocate for recovery, we're able to break some of the stereotypes and myths around addiction, substance use, and recovery. A lot of people think from the media and the different ways we take information in, when you hear the word addiction, you think about stigma, loss, pain, broken families, broken marriages, unemployed, homelessness. There's more to it. That is addiction. We're talking about recovery. A lot of people think everyone has to hit rock bottom. And what I can tell you is when we create communities and spaces for caring, compassionate conversations, we don't have to let everybody hit rock bottom. We can intervene, we can provide that support, and we can make a difference. A lot of people think that people with a problem are only hurting themselves. My daughter, the pain that caused our family when she suffered with addiction. When she was in an abusive relationship and we couldn't rescue, we couldn't help. It was me, my husband, my mom, her son, the neighbors, our friends. So many other people are impacted. This is not a selfish one-person disease. And addiction is not a moral failing. At some point, it is not a choice. It is a way to survive. It is a health condition. If somebody has cancer, The symptoms you may see are loss of hair, loss of weight, illness. And when they tell their friends, people rock up to the house with a casserole, some flowers, how can we help you? But often, somebody suffering with addiction, the symptoms you might see are selfishness, manipulation, lying, withdrawal. And when we tell our friends, the response we often get is silence. We want to change that narrative today. We want to embrace those families that need support to help, because families are the ones that often are showing up every day and trying to help or care for a loved one at home. When my family was impacted by addiction, it changed our life in not a good way, but recovery transformed our life. It gave me a path to a purpose to turn something that was devastating, I did not know if my daughter would live, into standing here today before all of you. It was a path to a purpose to make a difference. Oh. So for every person that is impacted directly, there are so many people. And it's not just the family members I mentioned, it is the employers, it's the people in the community, and recovery is inclusive of all of us. I recently spoke to a room of about 200 people that were not in an addiction and recovery space. And I asked them all to stand up. I said, please sit down if you have been directly or indirectly impacted by somebody who had a substance use, alcohol, or gambling problem. And in a room full of CEOs and leaders from every industry, 198 out of 200 people sat down. That is why we need to have this conversation. These are the people that are all around us that need to be involved. So the power of education in recovery. Education has been the foundation that has helped us build recovery communities. Through community education, we create awareness, we create safe spaces for conversations, we're able to reach out and help. And even when we educate, some people just come up to us afterwards and say, I think I might have a problem. We create a space to do more and help more. By training coaches, we have made impacts locally, just in a really small community. We've made impacts within businesses and organizations. We've made impacts internationally. And I will share some of that work with you in a minute. And through collaboration and building relationships and being open to adapt curriculum, especially for us from a very Western way to being implemented in Qatar, which I'll come to, we've navigated that really well, but it's all been through co-production, collaboration, and education. So education, when we talk about who we educate and what we do with it, is more than just a person who has been impacted directly by addiction. Yes, people with lived experience bring a very different heart and emotion. They can align with people, they can find trust and rapport. When we add professional skills to lived experience, it's priceless, like MasterCard. Priceless, And we can create a space where they can be contributing members of society, they can have employment, and they can really feel that they've turned around and got a second chance. And I'm all for second chances. When we educate people and we create the allies of recovery, they often are able to advocate and support recovery in ways that people with lived experience can't. We have an amazing member of parliament in the UK, Dan Carden. And he stood up in the Houses of Parliament, and he was the first member of Parliament to say, I am in recovery, and we need to pay attention to this at a government level. Education also is about workforce development. Not only creating employment for people with lived experience, often family members can join this workforce and advocate for different things in recovery, but it's also about educating clinical teams, business teams, about how to navigate and understand how they can be part of the recovery workforce. It enhances their knowledge. People who are in the medical profession, they get a little bit of education about addiction, but if you ask them how much education they get about recovery, they usually don't get any. And we want to change that space, And we can help combat stigma. You know, when we educate people, we change the narrative. Even just educating people about the power of language and recovery language can change how somebody opens up to you and talks to you and reaches out. And language, stigma, we can change people's hearts and minds and perceptions about addiction to recovery. So when I had this wild idea that I was going to make a great big impact, I realized that, you know, having a good idea wasn't all that was required. Needed a bit of support here, and how could I do this? So I went looking, and I found an organization in the States that was nonprofit that had the gold standard of recovery coaching. And I ended up on a Zoom meeting by fate, higher power, call it what you want, with the CEO and the director of training for that organization. And they kept saying, let's have another meeting. Let's have another meeting. And I now, in hindsight, know they were checking my heart. They wanted to make sure that my intentions and my motivation and my passion was pure. This was about mission over margin, passion over profit. This was about doing good work with respect, integrity, gratitude, honesty, and transparency. And they said to me, have any of you seen the movie The Field of Dreams? You know that line? If you build it, they will come. They one-upped that. They said, if you build it, they will come and we will help you. And they role modeled collaboration, connection, working together. And now today, if anybody comes to me and says, hey, can you help us do this? I say, if you build it, they will come and I will help you. You know? So they gave us a curriculum to work with. We worked to adapt that curriculum to the UK, to figure out how we could make it fit for purpose for our community. And they helped us build momentum, and they helped us make an impact, and they empowered me. And I was just a mom that wanted to make a difference. And they believed in me when I didn't believe in myself and my ability to do this. So we delivered the first course, the first Recovery Coach Academy training course. And of course, like many of you know, that C thing happened, COVID. So I wanted to make an impact in my lovely little local community in England. And before I knew it, I had people from 27 countries signing up for online training, and they were not going back to the recovery communities like I knew and felt. So I was like, how do we do this? How do we support these people? And one of the first students 4.5 years ago said to me, and it has stuck, he said, this isn't a course, this is a community. So we've developed a community, we've got an app, they all engage, we've got people who've been engaging in that community for more than 4 years. It is a place to dream. It is a place to be brave. It's a place to ask the hard questions. It's a place to connect with people globally and make a bigger impact, to find points of collaboration, because we do not have to do this work alone. And more than anything, they build momentum. I am amazed at some of the things these change agents are doing in their communities. But these connections have become the backbone, and these people have taken education and put it into action. Ooh. So when we empower people, we really do foster a culture of compassion. When we educate people, and it's not just about the book and the theory and the training, it's about the heart. This is hard work, but it is heart work. And when the heart connects, we have empathy, we have understanding. Every human being deserves the right to have a good life, you know, and with a bit of humility and kindness, we can change this space. So, who do we empower? Yes, we empower people with lived experience, and they can go on to do lots of different things. You know, some people work as recovery support specialists, some people actually go out and advocate. You know, some people are the most amazing mentors, and they mentor and role model what recovery looks like, but too often we label people as their recovery status only. So some of those people in recovery are doctors, they're lawyers, they're business people, they're CEOs. So not only can they role model and mentor recovery, They can role model and mentor other skills as well. We create collaboration where people with lived experience can impact service delivery within drug and alcohol services or communities. And they also can be part of steering committees to help decision making so that lived experience is truly brought to the forefront of decision making. You know, there's a saying in the world of recovery, nothing for us without us. And if there's not a seat at the table for us, please build a bigger table. There is room for all of us, and when we work together, we can really impact things. People in recovery are also CEOs. They run organizations, they influence policy, they're entrepreneurs. Often lots of people in recovery get told to volunteer, and that is great. Please volunteer. But we are more than volunteers. We can do it all, and we can do both. Collaboration is at the key. I cannot do this alone. You know, addiction is a global problem. Lots of people may not want to talk about that, but addiction is a global problem. And I believe recovery coaching can be a part of that global solution. And we need to work we need to look at things globally, regionally, nationally, and locally. Because what we can learn from others internationally, we can adapt and bring to your regions, and then you can choose to implement those tools and adapt them on a local basis that is fit for purpose for your community. We've got the power to change things and to really make a difference, to create healthier, happier communities, transform people's lives, and change the narrative about what people think about addiction. This is my lovely family. This is my daughter in recovery. This is my little grandson when he graduated from pre-K, because during this process, I became a grandmother raising a grandchild. That was my life. My husband has advocated and supported me. He is, bless that man. He lives in a crazy household with all of us, and he is my daughter's stepdad, and he has taken her and her son into our home. You know, family is so important. But family members can advocate for family recovery on a very different way than we do as people with lived experience. They can drive systematic change. They can role model to other families what healthy families and relationships look like. The power of families is just immense. And by bringing them in to be part of this community and value them, we can really change the way that people talk about addiction, and we can support the people that are often not seen. When we create allies of recovery, like I said, public figures and leaders often have a different platform to people like me. So they can help reduce the stigma and change perceptions and narratives. There are lots of different demographics in recovery. You know, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. In my world, we talk about multiple pathways of recovery. And I believe recovery is like a buffet. Do you ever go to a buffet and they say you can only have the carrot cake and the broccoli, everything else is off limits? You know? No. We want a buffet of every pathway to recovery where people can pick and choose and try things and keep doing the things that they need, but if they want to add something new into that mix, it's available and accessible whenever they need it. We want clinical professionals who understand what addiction and recovery is, because it truly takes a village to make this change. In the UK, we have a lot of things about employee well-being. We have spent lots of money on menopause health, mental health, obesity, suicide in men. We do not have a recovery conversation in the workplace. So we are working really hard to help organizations become recovery-friendly workplaces. Often a lot of employers are scared to have this conversation. They want to say, we don't have anybody in our business using drugs or alcohol. No, but I bet you have someone who loves someone who has a problem. And they're showing up for work after they've been up all night caring for somebody. How do we create a safe space in the workplace to support those people? How do we create a safe place where if somebody goes to find recovery, they are welcomed back into that employment and can become a valued, loyal employee? We want to create the conversations that advocate for recovery-friendly workplaces. So, the power of collaboration and co-production. I want to share with you some of the work we've been doing over the past 2 years in Qatar. I got a call one day and they said, can we talk to you about recovery coaching? And I was like, yes. I don't speak Arabic, by the way, was one of my first comments. And I think they saw our mission, they saw our vision, and they said, can you help us? And I was like, just say yes, show up and do the work. So we did. Dr. Abraham here presented some of the information I'm going to show you now at the International Society for Substance Use Professionals in Thessaloniki, Greece this summer as an abstract about the outcomes and work that we have done. And this was his quote. He said, recovery is more than an individual journey. It's a movement that can change cultures and improve outcomes across society. So, what have we done? I think I have to click over here. Right. So, we have worked with an organization called NAFAR. They are the partner for the Ministry of Health and a state-of-the-art treatment facility in Qatar. We were invited to partnership with them to develop culturally adapted programs with a holistic approach, but our initial goal was to create a model that was self-sustainable in the Arabic language that they could keep growing and developing independently beyond the work that I had done with them. So what did that look like? They built a really big table, and we got a lot of people around it. We had leaders, the CEOs, clinical directors, medical staff, clinical educators, and people with lived experience. We went through every page of that curriculum. We worked to make it culturally appropriate. It had to speak to the soul of recovery, but it also had to speak to the soul of their culture. Like I said, we wanted a non-English speaking model at the end of this, which was very challenging for me to think about in the beginning. And it required from every person at that table a willingness to be open-minded, to be brave, to have humility that we didn't know it all. And like one of my mentors said, we just had to build the plane while we were flying it. So what we actually did, initially after we had a first draft of some culturally appropriate material, we delivered the first round of training, and we had about 50-something people in the room who spoke both Arabic and English. I brought some colleagues who had helped create the curriculum from the US to partner with me to deliver that. We trained those people over 2 weeks. We then did a second round where we used some of the people who had done the first training to co-facilitate and translate. So the second training was delivered in Arabic alongside us. Alongside with us, and we navigated with that look, and then we reviewed the curriculum and made appropriate changes. The third round was independently delivered by Arabic-speaking participants in Qatar, and we were in the room to provide feedback, support, and help navigate that process. So to date, over the past 18 months, we've had 524 people do that training. I believe I have done a lot of recovery coach professional assessments over the past few weeks. We are about to have 50 people in Qatar that have received the professional designation of the recovery coach professional. 6 of those people have now gone on to be trained to be Arabic-speaking facilitators. And 6 recovery coaches have now been employed in a brand new role, full-time, providing recovery support services to individuals and families in Arabic within the facility. We realized along with that there had to be other stuff, and NAFAR embraced the challenge and the change. They now provide weekly group supervision and individual supervision. We like to call it coach-vision. Supervision often is about how individuals help the business and make sure they're on track with that. Coach-vision is how do I make sure you're the best coach that you can be to serve your community. They also established a brand new leadership role within their management team, which was patient education, employment, and volunteering department. And they are now in the process of formalizing officially the recovery coach job descriptions and volunteer tasks so they can employ even more people. What next? So, scaling an ambition for this project. I never thought I would just be saying this. By the end of 2024, they hope to have 10 full-time paid recovery coaches with 20 trained volunteers taking on volunteer roles. They are now growing those recovery coach professionals with a cohort that they are supporting if they want to continue their education. So whether that be in counseling, psychology, fitness, whatever those recovery coaches choose to add. And I'll touch on fitness. You know, the power of getting on a bicycle, and coaching somebody while you just go on a bike ride has been immense. You know, in England, we work with an organization in Northern Ireland that does recovery coaching fitness. They have fitness trainers who work in a gym setting who are also recovery coaching, because not everybody wants to go to a treatment center or a drug and alcohol service. What next? We are hoping to expand the recovery coaching peer support training. We're adding more new curriculum to help upskill, where they are actually building a cohort of recovery coaches that are Qatari nationals to support Qatari families. We are hoping to grow the recovery coaching beyond the walls of Nafar out into the community. And they have an ambition alongside us to extend this Arabic language recovery coaching opportunity across the whole of the region of the GCC. So I love this quote. Dr. Abraham said, "We didn't just buy a program, we empowered a community." And in January 21st, 2025 next year, I will be going out and we will be delivering the first Arabic facilitator who is training facilitators. So we just consistently are building on this to build a self-sustainable model. When Dr. Abraham delivered this presentation in Greece, these were the main takeaways, and I think they apply here today. You know, recovery is global. Visibility of recovery helps create hope and it reduces stigma. The cultural adaptation and collaboration will help drive systematic change, and building recovery capital helps reintegration and reduces relapse. So I think all of us today can take that away as well. Just this week, Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton, issued a statement, I believe on Monday. She advocates as the royal family member on taking action on addiction. And I think you will see she has just said some of the things I've said today. We need compassion. Addiction is an illness. It is a collective responsibility for all of us. And we need hope for recovery. And she says recovery is possible, and I do too. So, my call to action for all of you today, is, I believe, over 110 years of lived experience in recovery. And whether you want a conversation with me, could I ask Mims, Daryl, Karen, all of you to stand up? Please, everyone, have a look around the room. At the back of the room, all of these lovely people are advocates for recovery, and they are all here ready and willing to have a conversation. So if you don't want to talk to me, please talk to one of them, because this is a great opportunity that we can put a face on recovery. They all work for different organizations, but this is an example of collaboration. The tent is big enough for all of us. So please, let's have these conversations over the next 3 days. I encourage you to go back to your communities and have a conversation. You know, figure out what addiction and recovery tools are needed in your community, and let's find a way to get them there. Learn how to challenge stigma, and please learn about recovery language. It can make a difference. Let's see. Where's my little clicker? Princess Kate said recovery is possible. I do too, and I know this is possible. And I don't do this very often, but I'm standing here in front of you as a woman in long-term sustained personal recovery. I have over 27 years in recovery myself. I am the mom of a daughter who is about to celebrate 7 years in recovery. She is the youngest member of the Faces and Voices of Recovery Board of Trustees in the UK. She advocates to make recovery possible for young people. I am the glue to 4 generations, age 11 to 82, that all live in the same house. It is controlled chaos, but it is full of love, and we are thriving in recovery. So this is what recovery can look like. And this is a lot better picture than the picture of addiction. So please, recovery is possible for me, and recovery is possible for all your communities. So if we can do anything to help while we are here, please reach out. And I want to thank Education 2.0 and Health 2.0, because we talk about recovery first in my world, but today they have put recovery first on day one of their conferences in 2 different rooms. So there is change happening. And I thank you all so much for your time. If you want to reach out to us, this is some of my lovely team. Bajat delivers this training in Arabic, Lebanese, French, English. We also have access to it in Spanish. And just scan the QR code, have a conversation in private and public. I don't care, let's just have the conversation. Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Nayatha, for that inspiring session. Thank you. Let's put our hands together one more time. That was wonderful. Okay, fantastic. Now moving right along to our next session. So our next session takes us into the world of K-12 homeschooling startups. Over the past few years, homeschooling has grown beyond a niche approach to education, and it's now a thriving ecosystem. So we're going to have a fireside chat, which is entitled From Concept to Classroom, Success Stories of K-12 Homeschooling Startup Ventures. We'll hear directly from those who have built innovative solutions to empower families and students outside the traditional classroom setting. We'll dive into their journeys, the challenges they faced, and how they've revolutionized the way learning happens at home. To guide us through this conversation, we'd like to welcome up Tanya Schellerup, founder and CEO of Scholin Online APS, and adjunct professor Dr. M. Akran C. Munaim, Chief Executive Officer of Mega Jati Academy. Let's welcome them up onto the stage. And we'll bring up some microphones for them, please.
Hi, good morning everyone, and thank you for the introduction by our MC. I'm Markam from Malaysia, and we have Tanja today from Denmark, is it? From Denmark. So actually, our topic today, we're talking about from concept to the classroom success story of K-12 homeschooling startup ventures. So for myself, in Malaysia, we don't have any, what do you call that, we are not, there is a mandatory school for up to 12 years old in Malaysia, up to we call it as primary school up to 12 years old. But I believe that Tanja has having their own experience in their own countries. So maybe you want to introduce Tanja first. Maybe you have to introduce yourself, then we can go to our session. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Akam. Good morning, everybody. It's really nice to be here and share the journey of this possibilities of evolving education. I'm the founder of Scholin Online. It's an online school, and it's for children from the age of 7 up till 24. I'm from Denmark, and in Denmark we are allowed to homeschool. We have traditional school, but we have homeschooling, and we have private schools as well. So online school is a new thing in Denmark. I invented it in 2019. I've been in education since 2005, but I saw that there was a need for another possibility for students to thrive in untraditional school frames or frames of school.
Yeah, talking about the traditional school or traditional methodology in delivering school schooling. So from your experience, let's talk about 2005 you're starting on these education things. So what is the major difference between that time and currently in what we have in our current situation?
I would say that the major difference is that in traditional school, you show up at school at 8 o'clock and you stay there till 3, 4, 5 o'clock. And in online school, you have a totally different way of possibilities to learn, because you have all the technology that can help you. And with the technology, you are free to learn in your own time as well. But in my online school, we have both ways. We have a traditional kind of schedule where they meet in school. They come at school and then they have some few hours with teachers online, and that's kind of traditional. But they are flexible because they do not need to be in school, because we have all the things there so they can come later if they are like in sport or something like that when we are teaching. Then they can come back to school, to our online school, and then they can follow the curriculum there and still catch up on what they need to learn.
Yeah, I see. So meaning to say that the curriculum is there, the platform for learning is there, but the students need to enter by themselves to enroll the class.
Yes.
It's actually a pre-recorded session or you got a synchronous meeting with the teachers over there.
I have the teachers on there.
Meaning to say it's a synchronous, it's a sync
Yes.
meeting. You need the communication, they have anything engagement with them all. All right, so
Yeah, it's
that's
live.
part of it. So what I can say from homeschooling, sometimes we don't rely on technology, we rely on the parents itself. So how you can add on the parenting, skills on in terms of having this homeschooling success?
Well, there's nobody, not even an educator, that is able to teach everything. And that really goes for parents as well. Most parents, they are caregivers, and they do not have all the needs, so they need the curriculum. And that's what is needed. This is what we give them. We present them with a possibility to enroll their children in our school, either in one subject or in all subjects.
Okay, so the curriculum is been developed by
Our teachers.
Oh, yeah, our teachers.
Yes.
And what is kind of standard that we're following? There must be a national standard for this. For respective countries, we're referring to some standards, and that standard is actually cascade into the curriculum. So how do we do that?
The Ministry of Education in Denmark has like this curriculum that you have to follow, but it's quite flexible as well. And this is what we help them to live up to. There's kind of these rules that if you homeschool and you do not live up to this, then they will take the children and say you need to go to traditional school. So this is what we help them and say, if you follow this curriculum, then you're sure that your children can still be in homeschool and it is allowed by the government.
Yeah, I see. Before we go far, I think maybe we need to understand, when we talk about homeschooling, what kind of age that we are talking about our students? Is it starting from 7 years old?
Yeah, from 6 years old actually.
From 6 years
Yeah.
old? So he or she needs to be guided to use all these facilities,
Yes.
isn't it?
And that is the parents.
That is a parent's
Yeah, the parents need
responsibility.
to help them with that.
So maybe one of the parents, not everyone will be at home during their time, so they might be on work too. So can you give us actually how it can be possibly done in that way? So with this kind of limitation and also things that we need to ensure the delivery of the curriculum is still there. At the same time, we have some restrictions, so maybe you can add on it.
I would say, you're pointing in there. In Denmark, most parents, they actually work. So if you have enough money, then it's possible one of them to stay home. Or if they are traveling, then one of them is probably staying home as well. And it's also up to a certain age where the children need the help. Because when we reach an age of 11, 12, then the children are able to be at home and go on school and join the school themselves. So then the parents do not need to be there. But from the age of 6 to 12, then we demand that they have a parent that help them.
So from age 6 to 12.
Yes.
So they must be assisted by someone, either
Yes.
parents or somebody. Okay.
Parents or someone, yeah.
Right.
Somebody is also grandparents that helps them as well. We experienced that.
Okay. Okay, so the curriculum developed by the teachers and the guide or the standard will be established by the government for us to deliver the content based on that. So can we touch on the, sometimes we use this continuous assessment to assess our student ability and their the score and whatnot. So how we can ensure that the score or the ability that can be measured. By the way, maybe our conference members can also prepare some questions. I will pose the question to the floor. I think about one or two more questions from myself. Then hopefully we can get some engagement from our audience as well. So can you add on that? How we can ensure the assessment can be run, even though we have that kind of parenting, schooling, but at home, and with some limitation and how it can be assessed.
Well, the only thing we can do from my school is to ensure that they have a curriculum and they have the possibility to connect online to the platform that we have, and guide them the best we can to show them where do you find these sessions, these online sessions for the online classes, where do you find the assignments, and how do you help your children to turn in these assignments. And then our teachers, they give them feedback, and that's very traditional. It's just in an online way. But if the parents do not do this, then we cannot do anything, because it's a business I run, so I can only offer them something, and then they buy it from me. So they have to live up to it themselves, and if they do not do that, that's where the government comes in. So the government would come and check on all the things that these children are learning at home, and this is what we help them with.
I see. So even though the assessment, we can talk about assessment later, but I'm curious just to know, there is some, we need to assess on the knowledge domain, this psychomotor domain, and also sometimes affective domain to ensure the delivery of our curriculum is attainable to our students. So if the things that require psychomotor activities, hand skill and whatnot, so how we can put it into our assessment and to monitor from the end of the screen?
If it's something that you need to put your hands on, actually we're saying that we elevate education to the next level by a mix of technology and offline reality, because nobody can learn everything online. So we need to provide them with assignments or assessment, or give them something that they can take offline, and then they can show it on, when they have done it offline, then they can show it online that they have done it. It could either be pictures or a video of them making food, for example, or painting a picture, something like that.
So it is doable.
It is very doable, yes.
Very doable.
Yes.
Okay, maybe after my next question, I will ask for anyone from the floor to pose a question straight away to Tanja again. And talking about that, Tanja, can you continue on social, socializing, or how these students learning by themselves and with their parents, and how we can ensure that they also able to communicate with other peers in terms of making them socialize with other members or other kids as well?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because one of the questions that we always get is, how do these children get socialized? But when you're online, it's more flexible, and if you have the parent support, then these children are able to go out and be socialized outside the online school. We have our own offline trips where we socialize our students, and we facilitate the discussions on Discord or wherever the children are located online to make them meet each other outside the education. But with this flexibility, then we have students that are actually elite sport basketball students, and they are training in Spain, and we are in Denmark, where they are learning the Danish curriculum. But that means that they can both train their sport and go to school and then get the full curriculum.
So meaning to say that the extracurriculum or co-curriculum activities also can be conducted by having this kind of framework.
Yeah.
You're talking about a framework, right? Must be from the government, some standards, and then deliver it to curriculum, and then you need to ensure the delivery, effectiveness, as well as assessment. comes together to measure every of the students. So do you have any student, any question from the floor? Yeah, sir, please.
Hi, good morning, Tanya. Thank you for those insights. I'm actually taking a group of students to Billund for the International Academy of Boarding School Denmark for an exchange. We have done 3 years. My question is, what is your opinion and how is the education going to look like in the next 10 years?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. I don't think I can answer that in just a couple of sentences. I think it's going to change a lot, especially with the technology. This first panel discussion we had with immersive technology, that's going to make a major impact. Especially in the next 10 years, I think we're going to see more students moving from traditional school to other schools possibilities, either homeschooling or online school. If you look all over the globe, we have different laws on how children can be schooled or how they may be schooled. But I think that's going to change as well. Especially in Denmark, when I started my school, I thought, okay, it's going to take 5 years before I can even contact the government and say this is a possibility for students of this age. But then Corona came, and it showed actually that this is a possibility for many more students to thrive when they are learning. So, and I think that's going to grow within the next 10 years, especially with all the technology. And I think there's things that we have not even thought about yet that we're going to see within the next 10 years.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, sir. Is there any more question from the floor, please? You can. Is there any more question? Oh yeah, please, ma'am.
Good morning. So my question is, you just mentioned that you thought about this idea, how or when can I approach the government, the city, to even let them know about this concept. What would you say is the best approach to convince this authorities to new concepts? Because this is something I struggle with on daily basis in the academics, to convince people that we have to have other approaches when it comes to diversity in learning concepts.
Your name, ma'am?
Nicola Scherer.
Nicola?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. I think it depends on which country you're from, how you should approach them. But in Denmark, we are allowed to homeschool, so that's one thing. That's just allowed. It's by the law that we can do that. But I am also having an online school for students that's actually enrolled by the government or by the municipalities. And this is where I thought I cannot talk with them before 5 years. But the Corona showed them that there are students that actually started thriving while they were being in homeschool, and then there are students that did not thrive at all. And these students that did not thrive at all, those are the ones that need to be in physical school frames. And the ones that did not thrive during Corona, those are the ones who is actually not thriving in school and getting all these kind of illness from being in traditional school. And this is what we have noticed in Denmark, that the municipalities and the government has also noticed. But they did not notice it before we were on board and showing them that this is actually a possibility.
Yeah, thank you. I think based on these two questions from our participants today, first of all, the first thing is talking about what we can see or foresee in the future of the online school. They will be asked by our gentleman just now. And also I think she's talking about the regulatory framework. Okay, wait, just short one, ma'am, wait, but you can stay there. We are talking about a regulatory framework. What is the requirement from the government to ensure that we don't have any other perspective when talking about this online school rather than conventional school? There is a very valid reason or valid situation where we still need to convince that the online schooling is possible and doable, right? Yeah, it's like that. Okay, please. Let's see. Yes, question.
Hi, Tanya. It's very encouraging and good to hear that you are the one who's doing this online I just want to not really ask you a question, but support your idea of online schooling. Just to let you know that I'm Dr. Mirza. I'm a life transformational coach and a master NLP and hypnotherapist and a cupping therapist, so that's me. My younger sister is a medical doctor from Dubai. We all grew up here. She has, mashallah, 7 children, and she is now residing in Saudi Arabia. She decided to homeschool her children rather than to pursue her own career as a doctor. She said, I have got the medical knowledge, so I have a degree or whatever qualification. I'd rather spend it on my children than for the community and society, because they come first for me. And she homeschooled them right from the beginning and she was using the British curriculum. She was with the online education system, homeschooling with Britain. And I just want to tell you the end result, that her children have now reached university level and passed university. They were taken to high school straight away from home to high school. So just to tell you that those who are now, you're still in a beginning stage, but there is somebody who's already done it and successfully. So it's not something that we have to think about whether it will be or not. I think they were very well groomed, because what they did is you have to be structured when you're doing this kind of education program. So she would conduct the classes for the children, give them a break time, give them a, play time and whatever, then lunch time. And 4 o'clock, they would wait for the father to come, who would do the martial arts with them. And they would have, it's a wholesome thing, that you have got the physical training, you've got this, plus they were also being educated in 3 different languages, so that they had language skills. You get more time when you do homeschooling to concentrate and focus on certain aspects rather than wasting your time. And you mentioned about falling ill when they go into the school system. I want to add that they also fall into bad company, which is much more than just falling ill. You can treat them medically when they are physically sick, but when they're mentally sick, you have bigger problem, like our friend just mentioned. Then you have addiction problems and other problems. I've seen children going into bad company by going to school and colleges, and that you can save them from all that by focusing in how you want to train. Education is not just studies. It's training and grooming the child into a good adult.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say in support of you.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
so
I
much.
agree
I think
very
that's a very
much.
good point for us to blend together with our discussion today. Thank you, Miss. And talking about that, I think our a member just now is just touch on how the success stories of our another person when having about 7 children, right? Isn't it? And all success based on the homeschooling method. But one thing that can be maybe further elaborated by Tanya is actually when talk about homeschooling, we need to have some established standards that apply for the nationwide or worldwide, basically, because our students need to be able to, migrating in future. This kind of global interconnectedness, they need to work somewhere, maybe not in the same countries in future. And same goes, there's another countries, students may come to our country to work, and that kind of leveraging the system of standard need to be somewhere in our system. So how you can add on that?
I would say that education is so much older than the traditional school systems. So a curriculum is of course needed, but it's needed to learn to write and read and do numbers and all that. Everything else is something that we need to provide them with the possibilities to get more knowledge within their own interest and their own skills, because that's going to be much better for the future. I always say that if everybody needs to learn the same, when should somebody else learn something new? So I believe this is what we do in my school. I believe that we have to live up to the national curriculum, because that's what they ask from the government. But that's like the minimum part of it. Besides that, then we are trying to give them possibilities to grow on their own skills. And what that lady, she just came up and told with her sister, that gives the students or their children much more possibilities and flexible pathways to their own learning path or their own learning journey.
So means that they carve their own journey in terms of education. They pave by their own, isn't it? Okay. How about things like recognition? We do understand that curriculum somehow even established in many countries, different background, different curriculum and methodologies, but they need somehow to be mutually agreed at the recognition level, so that we can have a global standard when producing students, for example, at level 12 years old, 15 years old, maybe 17, 18 years old. So actually the age, it will be determine the ability in some areas where it's part of the assessment that we want to understand. So recognition, in terms of recognition for mutually recognized, what you can see on how it is being implemented currently?
I'm not sure actually. I think that what needs to be disturbed is like the whole thing of how we teach children or how we teach adults. And that's what we can do with online schooling or with homeschooling, because we open up the possibilities and say, okay, this is the bottom curriculum. This is what's needed to be learned in this country, but how can you move it up to a global perspective? Because more and more people are moving around the globe. Even the Danish people are. We have like 40. We are a really small country, but we have about 40,000 Danish students located all around the globe. And if they want to come back to Denmark and they want to go into the university in Denmark, then they need to take like this specific journey. But I believe, and that would probably be an answer to that question on how it will be developed in the next 10 years. I believe that there's, with these online schools that are growing up all different places on the earth, I believe that there's more possibilities for the students to, or the young ones to grow up and be even more sufficient for the whole world altogether, not only for their own country, but for the world.
Yeah, that should be the aim for the education system. Any other additional from the floor? We can open up one more question, please.
Hello, this is Salma. I am an online educator, head of product in a small company. We teach kids online coding and programming. So I had a question regarding the standards, and I really appreciate that you guys mentioned that. But I'm talking about another perspective. When we're talking about the instructors who will deliver the standards of that education, what do you see, or what are the important requirements in the instructor who will deliver that education online, so that you would say that this can teach those kids online? Because, you know, keeping kids, you said that you teach kids who are 7 years old, and it's really, really hard to let them sit in front of the computer for like an hour or two. So what do you do, or what do you see in your instructors that can help you with your vision?
Thank you for that question. Actually, what we do with the small ones is we have lessons of 15 to 20 minutes. It's really compact, and that's where they can concentrate. So after the 15 minutes, we're gonna let them up and dance or have a break or something like that, and then we take 20 more minutes or 15 more minutes. It actually depends on the group of students. Sometimes we only have 1 or 2 students in a class. Sometimes we have 15, and that makes it. The younger they are, the fewer we have in the class. So that is really important to say that. And even for the elder students, we do the same. We have like lessons of 20 minutes, and then we have lessons of 50 minutes. The lessons with the 20 minutes is compressed, and it's just, this is the bottom curriculum that I was talking about. And the 50 minutes is where they go into assignments. This is where they can ask questions to the teacher as well.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I've got something to add more. Okay. Maybe from there, Tanja, can you add on with that kind of ability and also the readiness of internet or online learning, what we can see on the limitation of it? Is it just applicable for maybe at level 12-year-old student, or we can up to the university's level to learn online too? Is it possible to any of the program or any of the age can be enrolled in this kind of online learning? Is it possible?
Yes, any age. I would say actually it's the eldest people that would not, if we talk like 80, 90 years old that wants to learn something, then they would probably prefer to go to a physical place unless they are really interested in technology. The younger they are, the more they understand the technology that they need to be joining on when they are joining an online school or so. And if I would just say about homeschooling does not have to be online all the time. It could be supported with online lessons, but if you're a homeschooling parent, then you might just say, I'm going to do this by myself, and then they'll teach everything and they will not need any educators, because the whole system or the whole internet is open for them, so they can find everything they need there. They have just they have to decide how to do it.
That's true. So meaning to say that the parents, contribution in delivering the homeschool is still important.
Very much.
Very important.
Yeah.
And based on whatever infrastructure do we have, we're talking about curriculum, we're talking about assessment, we're talking about this framework, mutually recognition, but it needs to start somewhere in the house, isn't it?
Yes.
By their own parents. So I think this is a very good discussion on the homeschooling advantage and also disadvantages. We are also talking about this flexible scheduling just now mentioned by one of our members over here, and stronger family bond, also something that can be established using this homeschooling, because we engage direct to the parents and also for the family members. And can we add one, because we've got about 2 more minutes, as a overall the holistic approach of homeschooling, starting from 6 years old up to maybe 18, 20 years old. So how we can do everything just to ensure that the output of our system, even coming from this kind of internet or homeschooling, can be still recognizable in the mutual for other countries, or maybe other before they go into the professions.
I would say it's really important to have educators that knows the curriculum of the country there, to ensure that they are presented with what they need to learn in these different kind of subjects. And then when you have that, then you can say there's so many possibilities on learning that subject. Yes, exactly.
All right. So maybe one more question, last one from the audience, if you have one, just a short one that we can close the session.
Yeah, I think there was one.
Just
there,
one
but
more,
she's
last
talking
one.
now.
Or we can end here. So maybe as a summary, Tanya, I said today we can talk about success story of K-12 homeschooling startup ventures, and we have Tanja today, and we have talked about the curriculum development and also the framework. We are talking about some difficulties as well, and we have also having good points coming from our audience today. And overall, that I can say that even though the homeschooling or even this kind of online education is still maybe become alien for some communities, but it's doable. It can be part of the system or syllabus of infrastructure that can be raise our education system into the next level, basically for the coming 10 to 20 years of education. So Tanya, from your last summary for the session today.
Well, I would say that every venture starts with a dream, but you have to have the commitment to make it into reality.
Thank you so much, Tanja, and thanks for the session, and thanks of all for
Thank you very much, Akram.
Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, fantastic. Let's give them another round of applause for that wonderful fireside chat right there. Okay, everybody. So if everyone would like to stand up, have a quick stretch. Do you want to do that? Have a stretch, do 10 jumping jacks. No, just kidding. Oh, I like the people that started doing those jumping jacks, though. Well done. You must be physical education teachers. Okay, fantastic. So we've had some great presentations thus far this morning. And now we are going to have a little pause and celebrate excellence. So we have one of our recognition sessions, and this is all about honouring the individuals and organisations who are setting benchmarks in education. Their work is a reminder of what's possible when passion meets purpose. So first of all, I'm going to welcome up onto the stage Michael Van Dyke, CEO and founder of All Your BI. So he's going to help us present these awards. Come on up, Michael. Okay, excellent. So if you hear your name and you receive one of these awards, please come on up and you'll be presented that award from Michael, and then you can have your photo. Just going to bring up those awards. Okay, excellent. Okay, so first of all, we will be presenting an Education 2.0 Conference Award for Excellence in Education. First of all, I'd like to welcome up Anne Diaz. Please come on down, Anne. Academies, who heads the Content Development, Quality Assurance and Teacher Training Division at Vibgir Group of Schools. Put your hands together one more time for Anne. Okay, and also Excellence in Education Award. Please welcome Annie Chan. Annie is the founder and principal trainer at Box Events. Up for Excellence in Education Award, Candace Tamsin Campbell. Candace is the Centre Director at the Tutoring Centre, Arabian Ranches, which is in Dubai. Excellence in Education Award, Dr. Christine Demen-Meir. Dr. Christine is the co-responsible of Pet Food Ecosystem Institute. Also another award in Excellence in Education, Dr. Elena Simona Thomas. Okay, here. So moving right along to our next one, Excellence in Education Award, Dr. Fahmi Reis. Dr. Reis is the Director of Digital and Brand Academy. Okay, now our award for Outstanding Leadership, Hatem Kenawi.
And he had to go to the school, right? So that kid went to a school, but unfortunately he met the villain, the unpleasant and unweighted guest, which called bullying. He was kicked, punched, attacked because of color, because of his nationality, and where he came from, and also how he looks. So he decided to just to be silent and not to speak, because this is how he's gonna protect himself, right? Bullying means there's something wrong with you. So how to protect yourself? Shh, don't say anything. But one day after he was in the middle of this day-to-day kick, punch section of the day, he decided it's over. I'm not gonna sign it anymore. Fast forward a couple of years, he became a TV presenter, and he worked in a very well-known television channels, BBC. He's now a public speaking and effective communication coach, helping people to speak, to shine, express confidence, and be themselves. More than 800 coaching hours featured on tremendous channels and radio stations. So that 9 years old, you can see him. You want to say hi to him? Hello. It's me. And the reason I'm saying that, because school for me once was my nightmare. I know that I'm waking up this morning to be kicked and punched. I have nothing to do with education. I don't want to go to there. But my message to you today, let's try to change the message from food feeding students with information to give them hope and second chance. You don't longer to be stuck or lost with us. We can give you a second chance to shine, be yourself, and use your words to say, I am here. Are you with me with this? Thank you so much.
Congratulations, and moving on, Han. Currently the president of ISACA Singapore chapter. And now for our Excellence in Education Award, Chris Butt. Dr. Chris but is the Senior Principal of NPS International School.
Morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Education 2.0 for recognizing what I'm doing to the education community and for children and parents and leaders. Thank you. Again, I'm not going to, there was a fantastic story Dr. Hatim has just said, that 9-year-old, how he transformed into the leader of today and transforming education and for the life of these children. I have one tagline: teach today to transform tomorrow. Again, started with a humble beginning in the education field for the last 42 years. This is my 43rd year of teaching, being 20 years in the leadership, and trying to do that one bit, one small change for every child to do the best what they can be. And I've been very fortunate to be attending various conferences. I did hear Dr. Jakarta. I was in Jakarta a couple of weeks ago attending the IBDP conference, and I spoke at Education 3.0, not 2.0, how education is going to look like in the future. So all of us, I heard AI about 35, 40 times in that panel discussion. Yes, AI is there. As school leaders, what we can definitely do is doing their small bit. I always said that AI is not going to replace the teacher, but the teacher who is in AI is going to replace the teacher who is not using the AI. My dedication, this award is all for all the students, for all the teachers, for all the parents, and of course, my wife who stood by me all the time. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Education 2.0. Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Okay, and now for another Excellence in Education Award, Professor Dr. Kyriakos Kouvelitos. Professor Dr. Kouvelitos is the Chief Academic Officer of the Berlin School of Business and Innovation. Now for our Visionaries Award, Adjunct Professor Dr. M. Akran C. Munain. Fantastic. And now back to an Excellence in Education Award, Dr. Majid Al-Sulami. Dr. Al-Sulami is the Associate Professor of Computer Science at Chakra University. Professor Dr. Nicola Scherer, also an Excellence in Education Award. Professor Dr. Scherer is the Professor of Cultural Management and Cultural Work at University of Applied Sciences. And another Excellence in Education Award, Dr. Noordine Shokirat. Noordine is an Associate Professor at Higher Colleges of Technology. Okay, now Outstanding Organization Awards. Outstanding Organization Awards, yes. Okay, so first of all, we have the London Institute of Business and Technology. Let's put our hands together. That's an Outstanding Organization Award. Okay, and now another Outstanding Organization Award. Please put your hands together for People Pro Training Institute. Do we have a representative to receive this award? No? Okay, fantastic. Let's put our hands together one more time for People Pro Training Institute. And moving on to our next award, Excellence in Education Award, Dr. Ramat Dwi Putranto. Okay, and another Excellence in Education Award, Dr. Saja Salem Al-Qurashi. Dr. Al-Qurashi is the professor at King Abdulaziz University.
Thank you for having me today. Thank you. Thank you, Education, for this conference to improve and thrive the idea in the education. First of all, I want to thank my parents and thank for my country, Saudi Arabia, to invest in my education and my brain, especially the Vision 2030 inspired me a lot to dream big and work hard to make the best progress. And from our tech perspective as a professor in technology, actually education must
evolve technology to empower the next generation for critical thinking, innovation, and resilience. So technology is not just a tool, but a catalyst for unlocking human potential. This is just a tip for technology. Thank you.
Fantastic. Congratulations. And moving on to our last award recipient for this morning's session. It's also an Excellence in Education Award, Dr. Salman Bahamam. Dr. Bahamam is an assistant professor at King Saud University and an accomplished palliative care physician. Okay, fantastic. Now, I would like to welcome up all of our award recipients, so to come on up to the stage. So don't go anywhere, come on back down, and we'll have a group photo. And as they make their way up onto the stage, let's all put our hands together and honor them for their contributions that inspire us to aim higher and push the boundaries of what education can achieve. Okay, just before we have this photo, everybody, just before we have this photo, photographer, sir, hello? Just before we have this photo, could everybody just stand a little bit back, if you could? We've just got a couple more awards to present. Okay, so we're going to present them right now, so please can we welcome up Tanya Schellerup. Come on up, Tanya. Okay, let's put our hands together for Tanya, the founder and CEO of Skolen Online. Okay, and we've got 2 Visionaries Awards. So Education 2.0 Conference Visionaries Award. Please put your hands together for Vijay Madhavan. Vijay Madhavan is a seasoned business executive, investor, and thought leader with over 26 years of experience across Asia. Please put your hands together.
First of all, the name is Vijay, and I am actually a former CEO who ran a completely Gen Z staffed business in the emerging market, also a father of a Gen Z. So what inspired me to get into the space of education was my daughter was 10. I asked her, if you were to start a business today, has school equipped you with the right skills? And the answer was a flat, outright no. So that inspired me to come into the sphere of education. And I'm currently doing my PhD on Gen Zs, integrating them into multi-gen workforce, and the impact of AI on their performance. Last year I was here and I was speaking about how the education sector could do more to prepare Gen Zs for the workforce. Because a lot of them are at this moment, and I speak more from a corporate and a consulting and coaching experience, are struggling to land jobs that they deserve. Critical thinking, resilience, right, communication. And I'm helping a lot of Gen Zs, both undergraduate and postgraduate level, in my pro bono coaching, to be able to get that, right? So I'm really happy to hear all the thoughts that are coming out from educators here, how we are moving the curriculum and the architecture on. But I believe there is a demand for us to do it at speed. We are now seeing Generation Alpha, which we are all talking about, and they will be entering the workforce in 8 years' time. That's really short. Very, very short, right? And so I want to really thank all the educators for moving forward, but I think we need to do more to bring a lot of our youngsters into it. Now, I'm the CEO of Orbis, O-U-L-B-Y-Z. It means Own Your Life, Be Your Zing, right? And if you look at my icon, it says actually a letter Z with a number 1. And I'm actually working very hard, and I'm at the CXO conference this year, to influence businesses to be prepared for the next generation, to tell them that our youngsters are not difficult, they're just different. So, you know, there needs to be a tripartite relationship between parents, between the schools, between employers. So let's keep the conversations going. So to all the wonderful educators, I thank you as a parent, but I also say we need to do more to make sure our next generation thrives in the workforce. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vijay. And another Visionaries Award, Yuri Hirayama. Yuri Hirayama is the director of Yuri Education Center and is a dedicated Japanese educator and sustainability advocate.
Thank you very much. I'd like to appreciate everyone, including my professors, my family, and my students. Especially, I would like to appreciate my students who have been courageously discussing and empowering women and children in local areas. You have been doing a great job. And then leadership itself, being a leader is lonely sometimes, and it is challenging as well. But it is worth it. And I'm sure that you have been encouraging others, impacting the world in a positive way. So let's keep working with me. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, once again, let's put our hands together for all of our award recipients today. And we're going to have their photo, and we will break for lunch shortly. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us here this morning. And now we are going to break for lunch, but of course, don't forget to explore our exhibit booths just outside here of the conference room. And of course, we can network and meet other people, other educators. And just a friendly reminder to don't forget to use that hashtag Education2Conf and make sure that you tag all of your photos and memories of this wonderful event. Please enjoy your lunch, and we will see you back here at 1:30 p.m. for our afternoon session. Thank you. And everybody, just to let you know, if you are looking for the lunch, please take the escalators down to the lower ground floor and just head on outside and you will see where the lunch is being served. Please enjoy.